Good day, everyone. My name is Maribel Hamrola, representing Group 1, and this is History Hour! Today, we'll be exploring a very pivotal period of the Philippine history, the Philippine-American War. This era shaped much of the Philippines' modern identity, governance, and international relations. Our representation will guide you through key events, impacts, and figures of this time. To begin, Ms. Zamorano will provide an overview of the Philippine-American War and how the Philippines came under American colonial rules.
Good day everyone, I am Aliana Christine Zamorano. Welcome to the History Bar where every moment tells a story. In today's feature, we are going to tackle about the First Philippine Republic of American period. So the First Philippine Republic, also known as the Malolos Republic, was the first independent republic in Asia, established on January 23, 1899. Led by Emilio Aguinaldo, it marked the culmination of the Philippine Revolution against Spanish colonial rule. The republic was based in Malolos, Bulacan, and had a democratic constitution, making it a symbol of Filipino sovereignty. However, its existence was short-lived due to the onset of Philippine-American War 1899-1802, where the United States sought to establish control over the Philippines following Spain's defeat in the Spanish-American War of 1898. Despite Filipino resistance, the republic was dissolved when Aguinaldo was captured in 1901, leading to the start of American colonial period, which lasted until 1946. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zamorano. With that, we've set the stage for understanding the background and the significance of the Philippine-American War. Now, let's dive deeper into how the Philippines became a U.S. colony and the events that followed. To discuss the effects of American colonial rule, let's call on yours truly. I will be discussing the U.S. colony and the consequences of the American colonial rule in the Philippines. Please listen. So, do you have any idea what happened in that era? Or in that period? If none, then let's tackle it. In 1901, the United States took control of the Philippines after the Spanish-American War. They set up a new government to manage the country. Before 1901, the Philippines was ruled by the U.S. military. In 1901, the U.S. decided to have a civilian government instead of military control, and William Hoover Taft became the first Governor-General. U.S. declared English as the official language of the Philippines. This meant that English was used in schools, government, and businesses, even though many Filipinos spoke their own language. They also sent 600 American teachers called Thomasites to the Philippines to help teach English and set up a public education system. And under Spanish rule, the Catholic Church owned a lot of lands in the Philippines. And when U.S. took over, they decided to buy these lands from the church and gave it to the Filipino farmers. And in 1907, the U.S. allowed Filipinos to have their own elected legislature, and this was like giving the people a say in how their country was run. However, The US still controlled many important decisions like defense and foreign relations. The consequences of American colonial rule in the Philippines, especially regarding land ownership and the redistribution of land, had both positive and negative effects. During the Spanish rule, the Catholic Church owned a huge amount of land in the Philippines. When the Americans took over, they decided that the land should be taken from the church and given to Filipinos. This was seen as a way to reduce the church power and influence over the country. In order to take the land from the church, the American government had to buy it. In 1904, they paid a large sum of money, 7.5 million US dollar, to the Vatican, which is the headquarters of the Catholic Church, to settle the deal. Despite the intention to redistribute the land to Filipino farmers, most of the land ended up in the hands of large landowners instead of the small farmers or tenants who needed it. These big landowners often had the money or the legal proof to claim the land. But many farmers couldn't afford to buy it or couldn't prove that they were the rightful owners of the land. The redistribution of land was supposed to benefit small farmers, but in reality, it strengthened the power of the rich and powerful landowners. This created a large gap between the wealthy and the poor in the Philippines, and the problem of landlessness continued to be a major issue for many years. Americans' greatest achievement in the Philippines was the introduction of the public school system. Overall, the public school system increased the number of Filipinos who knew how to read and write. In 1903, the literacy rate was 44.2%. This rose to 49.2% in 1918, when a second census was taken. The oldest university founded under the Americans was Silliman University in Dumaguete City, followed by Central Philippines University in Iloilo City. The University of Philippines was founded in 1908 in Manila. Education under the Americans advanced rapidly, was not equaled by any other colonizing power. Always remember, these consequences laid the groundwork for future development in the country. Now, let's explore the road towards Philippine independence, a journey marked by resilience and aspiration. Now, let's call on Miss Kadag.
So the next topic that we will be discussing is about the roads toward Philippine independence. So the road toward Philippine independence refers to the historical events, laws, and movements that leads to the Philippine attainment of independence from colonial rule. So in this topic is we will be discussing about the past events of the historical events during this period, the laws that they established during this period, and also the movements that they do so that we can gain the independence that we want, or the movement that they made para makuha nato ang independence gikan sa American period. So at this point also is we will be more focusing into the laws, which was the two laws, ang Jones Law ug ang Tidings-McDuffie Law. So the first law is the Jones Law. The law was approved by President Woodrow Wilson after it was proposed by William Atkinson Jones, an American congressman. So the Jones Law of 1916 is also known as the Philippine Autonomy Act, and it was enacted by the 64th United States Congress on August 29, 1916. So this law was replaced the Philippine Organic Act of 1902. So gi-replace the Philippine Organic Act of 1902 aning law nga Philippine Autonomy Act. And also, we will be discussing the important or the key provisions of this law. So which was the first provision is the establishment of the Philippine legislature. So this law or the law created the first fully elected Philippine legislature and consisting of the Senate and the House of Representatives. So kaning establishment of the Philippine legislature di ay kay di kaning nga law is nag-create ni sila or dili nila na-create ang first fully elected Philippine legislature that consist ni siya mga senador, mga House of Representatives o diri jud nag-start ning mga senadors or natay mga senators. The second one is the Bill of Rights. So Bill of Rights ensuring the protection of individual freedom and rights. So kaning Bill of Rights is mo ni ang natay mga freedom, di ba? Natay freedom of speech, freedom of expression or freedom of declaration or not ay mga rights or diri na to makita na atong mga rights or mga sections or ang mga act diri nga law. The third one is the Philippine citizenship, which is it is provided for the acquisition of citizenship by natives of the island. So it means Philippine citizenship diri maila kung Pilipino baka or nagdako baka sa Pilipinas, di ba? Kung namatay mga birth certificate nga nay nakasuwat nga citizenship, which is the Filipino citizens. So diri pud na nga act or diri pud nga kuan nga law nga na-establish nga mahibaw-an nga isa ka Pilipino. The last one is the promise of independence. In this law also is diri gyud gi or na intentions ang mga American nga hatagan sila og freedom or natay independence if or nag-declare din sila nga natay independence nga makuha but eventually but unfortunately is wala jud ni siya di pa jud ta makaingon nga this is the right law nga nakuha nato ang atong independence kay mura magud og naghatag bitaw sila assurance nga naatay makuha nga independence pero kani nga year is dili pa jud ni siya ang year nga fully independence na ta towards from the American periods. So before I will be discussing the next law, which is the Tidings-McDuffie law, is I will be discussing first the law nga na-reject sa Philippine Senate, which is the Philhis Cutting Act. So it was a law that passed by the United States Congress in 1932. Their aim is to give us independence, but unfortunately it was been rejected by the Philippine Senate in 1934. So kaning Philhis Cutting Act is gipropose ni siya ni Henry L. Stimson and William Cameron Forbes. But this act was named after its sponsor nga si Butler Ames Harry B. Howes and Bronson M. Cutting. So, di ba na-reject man ni nga law? Di ba nga na-reject man ni siya nga law? So, kani nga law is nani siya mga several reasons kanang na-reject ni sila. The first reason for that is that it has a lack of genuine independence. So, this act is kanang kuan jud ni siya. Wa ni siya di ta makaingon nga genuine nga tagan kanilang independence because siguro pagbasa sa mga Pilipino is pagbasa ni nila nga law is naka-feel sila nga di genuine ang paghatag or di genuine ni nga act like kanang kani nga law bitaw is ang mga US is mo control gihapon sila nato like ang tanan nga mga for example kanang mo control sila sa empower foreign policy like mo involve gyapon sila sa Pilipinas like kung unsa ang naa sa Pilipinas is gusto gyapon nga ma-involve sila and that's why nakapila mga Pilipino nga ay di pa jud ta day fully independence ana kung ilan ang buhaton nga maki-involve gyapon sila nato. So mo na isa sa mga reason nganong na-reject ang kaning law. So the second one is the economic restrictions. Kaning nga act is gihatagan ta nila og limitations when it comes to kalakalan at an industry. So di ba, gusto man jud ta mo grow, gusto man jud mo dako ang economic sa Pilipinas. So ang gibuhat man sa ani nga law is ila matang hatagan og limitations. So unsa man nagkadako sa ato ang economy if natay limitations, so ang mo gihimo nila nga hindrance. So that's why ang kaning economic restrictions or kani siya nga act is wala pud ganahi ang mga Philippine Senate ani. So mo po na isa sa mga reason nga nung na-reject ni nga law. So the third one is the US military base. Magama ang mga taga-United States o base dire sa Pilipinas. So di ba, mura taog ka ng so di ba kung but hunahon is like kanisla is magama sila og base dire sa Pilipinas and then US base military na siya. So mura siya og hindrance na siya, mura siya og kuan bitaw sa mga American nga ay kanang makasud og gawas mi sa Pilipinas kay naman among military diha. So di pa jud ta makayo nga na fully independence jud ta nila. Kay makasud og gawas na gyapon ang American kay naman gyapon sa territory sa Pilipinas, di ba? So the last one is the opposition from Manuel Quezon. So President Manuel L. Quezon is siya gid ang midili, siya gid ang niingon nga dili gyud na nato dawaton nga law. Kay di man gyapon nato ma-aim o di man jud nato maingon nga nakuha nato ang kalayaan towards the American people kay makasud og gawas man gyapon naman gyapon sila buluhaton diri sa Pilipinas, so that we should find another law nga makayon ka na fully independence na ta towards the Americans. So diha ni sod si Tidings McDuffie Law, ang ika-duha nga law nga itong i-discuss. So kaning Tidings McDuffie Law, it is a law was proposed by Millard Tidings and Congressman John McDuffie of the US. So the Tidings McDuffie Law is also known as the Philippine Independence Act. It was passed by the United States Congress on March 24, 1934. And also, nasa kaning Tidings McDuffie dahil kay mo na dyan siya ang Philippine Independence Act. And then, nasa na siya mga key provisions. The first one is the 10-year transition period. So, kano siya is, ang ilang pasabot ani nga provision is like, the law established a 10-year transition period during which the Philippines would be a Commonwealth of the United States. So it means nga ang Pilipinas dahil kay mahimong isa ka Commonwealth sa US. The second one is the Philippine Constitution. The law mandated the drafting of a Philippine Constitution. It means ang Pilipinas is makahimo sila og isa ka constitution. The third one is the election of Manuel Quezon. So in this year also is Manuel L. Quezon was been elected as the first president of the Commonwealth of the Philippines in 1935. The last one is the eventual independence. The law promised full independence to the Philippines on July 4, 1946. So diri na jud nga law ang na-enacted na gyud nga nakuha na gyud nato ang full independence. And nagpromise sila nga after 10 years nga makuha na jud nato ang independence nga gusto natong makuha. So mo na ang mga law nga naa sa Tidings McDuffie. So the Philippines gained independence from American rule on July 4, 1946. So there's a lot of reason nga nung nakuha ang independence ani nga time. So the first one is the end of World War II in 1945. The second one is the Tidings McDuffie Law, as what I mentioned earlier. And the third one is the unity of Filipinos. Nagtabang-tabang ang mga Pilipino nga makuha yun natong independence. They use the support so that we can gain the independence that we really wanted to gain. And the last one is the support from other countries such as the Japan and the German. Through the support of the Japan and Germany is nahatagan og kusog ang mga Pilipino nga makuha gyud ang atong independence nga gusto natong makuhaan. And luckily is nakuha gyud nato ang independence after 10 years. Paghuman nato ani nga gamit ani nga law. So I will be discussing, or I will be differentiate the two laws, which is the Jones Law and the Tidings-McDuffie Law. So when it comes to independence, medyo na slight differences, guys. Ang si Jones Law is they granted autonomy under U.S. rule. And while si Tidings-McDuffie law is they granted independence within 10 years. So, mo yun na ang differences sa duha. Ang si Jones Law is kanang nag-grant ra ni sila og independence, while si Tidings-McDuffie is ila yun gi-grant ang ilahang promise na makuha na tong atong independence after 10 years. The second one is the legislature. Is the Jones Law is they establish a bicameral legislature, which is katong mga Senate and the House Representative, while the Tidings-McDuffie Law is they give Philippines an authority over national matters. Muna ang differences sa duha. Na natong mga president, while ang katong sa Jones Law is katong mga Senate pa, mga House of Representative, while sa Tidings-McDuffie is na natong Commonwealth or katong president, which is si Manuel L. Quezon. So the third one is the Constitution. So the Tidings-McDuffie law is they establish a constitutional republic, while the Jones law is they do not provide muna ang nakalayan sa duhas when it comes to constitutions. But overall, the Jones law and the Tidings-McDuffie are they're the two significant laws that granted freedom and authority to the Philippines, but they have the differences when it comes to provisions and conditions. Medyo na ang kalahian sa duha. So, thank you so much, guys, for listening to my report, and I will end my discussion in here.
The road to independence was challenging, but ultimately successful. Let's now turn our attention to Commonwealth government, a key transitional period on the path to civility. Let's pass the presentation to Ms. Binluan.
Good day, everyone. I am Juliana Vinluan, and I will be discussing the Commonwealth Constitution. So first, let us define what is Commonwealth. So Commonwealth is an independent country or community, especially a democratic republic. So Commonwealth is also known as Republic, where it is used in the fraternal association of several sovereign nations or independent nations. There are two acts of United States Congress. First, we have Philippine Organic Act of 1902, and second, the Philippine Autonomy Act of 1960. Philippine Organic Act of 1902, the first organic law for the Philippines Islands. The legislative power was vested in a bicameral legislature composed of the Philippine Commission as the upper house and the Philippine Assembly as the lower house. So when you say bicameral, there are two chambers or branches within the government. Key provision of this act: Bill of Rights of Filipino. So it is like the Declaration of Rights, where a list of important rights of Filipinos. The appointment of two non-voting Filipino resident commissioner of the Philippines as representatives to the United States House of Representatives. Next is the Philippine Autonomy Act of 1960, or commonly known as Jones Law, modified the structure of the Philippine government through the removal of the Philippine Commission, replacing it with the Senate that served as the upper house and its members elected by the Filipino voters. So the management of the government was changed, and the Senate replaced the Philippine Commission in being the upper house, and who can be a part or member of it. It explicitly declared the purpose of the United States to end its sovereignty over the Philippines and recognize the Philippine independence as soon as stable government can be established. So it means that stable government was prevalent to the Filipino independence. In 1932, the Hair Horse Cutting Act was passed by the United States Congress with the efforts of the Filipino Independence Mission led by Sergio Osmeña and Manuel Rojas, but opposed by then Senate President Manuel L. Quezon and consequently rejected by the Philippine Senate. The law promised Philippine independence after 10 years, but reserved several military and naval bases for the United States, as well as imposed tariff and quotas on Philippine imports. So, so for the reason that it was not stated that the use is truly free from them. In 1934, the Tidings-McDuffie Act was passed by the United States Congress, also known as the Philippine Independent Act. So, the Tidings-McDuffie Act, or also known as the Philippine Independent Act, Philippines Independence Act was signed by President Franklin Roosevelt on 1934, and he sent it to the Philippines to be approved. Changes brought by the Commonwealth Constitution. First is acknowledgement to the woman's right in voting for the elections, and also the social justice. So here are the changes and policies implemented. First, we have minimum wage, 8 hours of work, Court of Industrial Relations, National Rice and Corn Corporation, National Relief Administration, Homestead Act, promoting the national language. November 13, 1936, establishment of the Institution of National Language. December 30, 1937, declaration of Tagalog as basis of the national language. September 1935, the election was held and Manuel L. Quezon was elected as the President of the Commonwealth. On September 16, 1935, a million Filipinos flocked to the poll to elect the two highest officials, the President and the Vice President. Manuel L. Quezon was elected as President and his running mate Sergio Menia as Vice President. The next topic will be discussed by the next reporter.